T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected to his actions.
Out on him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
King Harris is just 20 years old, but tonight he's lying in an Atlanta ICU, family in pieces and fans holding their breath. The headlines tried to keep it clean, jailhouse altercation after arrest, but that barely scratches the surface of the madness unfolding right now. Let's rewind just a few hours. King was behind the wheel of his BMW, pulling out of a gas station when he nearly clipped a police cruiser.
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting has gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
Officers said the air was heavy with a suspicious scent, and before King could even gather himself, their eyes locked on the firearm sitting on his hip. One name check later, and boom, his whole past came crashing back. A bench warrant straight out of Pickens County popped up, connected to an August 2022 DUI with a suspended license. He had already skipped his arraignment in September, which flipped that warrant active. Suddenly, this wasn't just a celebrity kid caught with some smoke. This was a trap closing in on him with receipts already on file.
Him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, he just don't care.
In less than 24 hours, King got shuffled like cargo between Dunwoody, DeKalb, and Pickens County. Somewhere between steel bars and a cold handshake at the station, things went off the rails. Bad. Hours later, he was rushed into the hospital, comatose, and the whispers started flying. People weren't buying the simple jail scuffle story, not for 1 second. Here's the real problem. The timeline doesn't make sense. How does a non-violent offender, a high-profile one at that, end up in intensive care before the ink is even dry on his paperwork? Guards swear they saw nothing, but the missing mugshot and the skipped perp walk make it look even shadier. This isn't just about one reckless night. It's about a dynasty hanging by a thread. Because this isn't any random young man behind bars. This is King Harris, the heir to the Harris Empire, the son of T.Y., the self-proclaimed king of the South, and Tiny, the velvet-voiced legend of Escape.
Yes, that's right. Lawyer Tyrone Blackburn is going to authorities, asking and encouraging state and federal prosecutors to start a criminal investigation into T.I. and Tamika Harris, aka Tiny, on behalf of 11 accusers.
What's on the line here isn't just one young man spiraling out. It's the public collapse of a dynasty that once flipped reality TV into a money-making machine and turned hustle itself into a brand. The downfall has been playing out in plain sight for months, and the cracks were already showing long before this hospital scare. Think back to last November, the viral meltdown inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It wasn't just some father-son spat, it was T.I. himself caught on camera, putting his own son in a headlock while King broadcast the entire thing live on Instagram. King barked that he didn't grow up with a silver spoon, and T.I., with a poker face colder than Vegas, snapped back, "King, have you ever woke up with a roach on your face?" That should have been the mic drop, but Tiny jumped in, raw and unfiltered, announcing to everyone in the suite and the live stream, "He can suck a pacifier over there." 12 years old, he was still doing that. The crowd went wide-eyed while King's face went red. He kept howling about fake family struggles, secrets, and even accused his parents of drinking too much. Tiny tried to yank him away by the neck, but the scene just got messier until T.I., jaw locked tight, muttered through clenched teeth, "You are embarrassing yourself." Meanwhile, King thrashed as the phone camera spun, catching every wild second. This wasn't family hustle. This was the dynasty crumbling in real time, live and uncut. And it didn't stop there. Right before his arrest, King posted a close-up shot of his eye, swollen and ringed with a fresh, angry welt. "Still got my chain," he wrote, dropping laughing emojis like it was a joke. He tried to play it cool, but fans and insiders weren't buying it. Just 2 days before the chaos, King had gone live, rapping behind the wheel with smoke swirling thick around the dashboard. And right there in the comments came the voice of reason, his grandmother, Tiny's mother.
Not gonna do and open up the door to my bedroom, as you shouldn't have to either. open up the door to my bedroom for everybody to come in and chime in and make their opinions about what we do and don't do or should or shouldn't do. But I will say this, whatever we ever have done has been done with consensual adults.
The Rock holding this family together. She pleaded, "Stop smoking so much, son." King shot back with a quick, "I'm sorry, mama, I love you." But the tension was thick, sharp as that smell inside his BMW. This is someone who grew up with 7 siblings, raised under non-stop cameras and stage lights. But instead of calm, he built a reputation for pure chaos. The Harris clan worked hard to sell us on the image of a close, loving family, but the cracks kept showing wider every time the spotlight hit. Then came October, the big baby shower, a full-blown Simba-themed spectacle for King and his partner, Janya Epps. Tiny couldn't stop smiling in every clip. Gold-draped tables, 2-tier cakes, glossy maternity portraits, balloons raining down in blue and gold. She even posted proudly, "My baby is having a baby. I'm too geeked about my grandson coming." On the surface, it looked like a dynasty securing its next chapter. But behind all that glitter, the whispers got darker. As soon as the baby was born, social media caught fire.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
Rumors of secret paternity tests, TikToks hinting at hidden DNA results, and accusations that King might not even be the father. What was supposed to be the Harris family's golden moment turned into a storm of suspicion, with the legacy itself under question. Tiny jumped on Instagram swinging back at the rumors, demanding, "How in the hell would this person know anything about what we did or did not do?" But no amount of clapbacks could hide the stress already carved into the family's faces. And the timing couldn't have been worse. July was supposed to be a victory lap. The Harris family celebrating their reality show anniversaries. T.I. posting about forever love on the sands of Phuket. But instead, an old ghost came storming back online. Sabrina Peterson, a name that's haunted the Harris legal saga for years, lit Instagram on fire again. This time, she dropped the bomb of all bombs, claiming she had human trafficking receipts implicating not just T.I. and Tiny, but even King himself. Her post hit like a stick of dynamite. "The feds already have this. I think the fans need it." And this wasn't just some tired grudge. It was a ticking time bomb loaded with threats of leaked DMs, stories of young women, allegations of forced substances, and claims of a family-wide conspiracy. And let's not forget, this wasn't coming out of thin air. Over 15 people had already stepped forward in past years, enough to push MTV to cancel Family Hustle, Friends and Family before it even had a chance to thrive.
To do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle. Right. That does come with some, it's some adversity. It's some adversity to come with that. People getting...
Multiple DA offices cracked open investigations, only to quietly drop them when deadlines ran out. Through it all, T.I. and Tiny stood defiant. "We are innocent of these fake claims. We will not be shaken down." But as lawsuits stacked higher and Sabrina kept posting, the spotlight turned harshly toward the next generation, the Harris kids and especially King. The gap between the family's shiny public celebrations and their messy private crisis had finally snapped wide open. Just as T.I. and Tiny hit their 15-year marriage milestone, Instagram lit up with glossy couple selfies from Thailand. Tiny flashed a jeweled necklace, while T.I. poured his heart out in captions about the love of my life and fighting for each other through the tough times. Fans double-tapped like it was a fairy tale. But behind the filters, a storm was brewing over King, and everyone could feel it. One minute, T.I. was hyping up his unborn grandson, promising, "I'm gonna make this the greatest gangster of all time." The next, his own son was live streaming pure chaos from an NFL suite and posting pictures of bruises with a cocky smirk. The downfall wasn't creeping, it was speeding like a runaway train. And now, with King lying hooked up to machines inside Grady Memorial's ICU, Atlanta's rumor mill has gone nuclear. Insiders whisper this was no ordinary jail fight. Talk is swirling that masked intruders were spotted creeping near King's hospital room.
Me and my dad, man, we had a relationship. Like, it was like to the point to where he know me, I know you. But it was almost like Ghost and Tariq in Power, bro.
A nurse even reported strange men in maintenance uniforms loitering outside the ward, right before the security cameras mysteriously blacked out for a full 20 minutes. Hospital administrators, silent, not a word. Meanwhile, T.I., the man usually cool and calculated with his PR game, was seen raging in the hallway, smashing a chair against the wall. Tiny, who only weeks earlier was glowing at her new grandbaby's arrival, has now been spotted sobbing into her hands, begging nurses for answers. And the whispers keep getting darker. Allegations that King's ventilator was tampered with, that a second round of life support machines failed, all while an unmarked black van was allegedly caught on camera pulling into the lot. The hospital's security feed, gone, vanished by morning. None of this is confirmed, of course, but in a city where every insider swears they've got a cousin working at Grady, the whispers feel as real as the white noise outside those ICU doors. People are asking the question out loud. Was this just the fallout of a reckless lifestyle and one violent brawl, or the opening shot in something far bigger?
No, you're not this. You're not this. And then I'm going to him saying, bro, why you doing that? Why you even doing that? He like, bro, the point is to make them think that you're not this. That's the whole goal.
A calculated move to bring down the Harris bloodline once and for all. Every rumor points to somebody holding the controls, playing with fire at enormous risk. And standing here in this moment, it's impossible not to feel the weight of every shadow that's been chasing the Harris name for years. King's fight for his life is just the latest, darkest headline in a saga where every so-called ending only spawns another scandal. Because we all remember when this storm really started. January 2021, Sabrina P0ison, once considered family, jumped on social media and dropped the accusation that T.I. held her at gunpoint. That single claim turned the Harris brand radioactive overnight. Within days, her DMs flooded with stories from more than 15 women.
With King. First off, the kid's a menace, right? He goes around... No, I'm serious. Yo, King, listen. King goes around terrorizing the community of Atlanta, bro. That's a fact, bro. I'm serious, bro.
Allegations of forced substances, late-night coercion, and victims saying they woke up not even knowing how they got home. P0ison came with screenshots, teased the existence of videos, and then passed the ball straight to a team of attorneys hungry for blood. Suddenly, police in Los Angeles were reviewing assault claims reaching back to 2005, while Nevada officials were digging into complaints from 2010. But the legal system runs on deadlines, and the clock just happened to be ticking in the Harris family's favor. Prosecutors in Los Angeles and Vegas combed through the timelines, stacked the stories side by side, and in the end, they shrugged. Out of time, no charges. The headlines moved on, but the stench stuck to the Harris name like smoke that won't wash out. Every time the family celebrated a legal win, another hit came swinging. When P0ison tried to sue T.I. and Tiny for defamation, it backfired hard. The court sided against her in March and slapped her with nearly $97,000 in legal fees. But before the ink was even dry, new lawsuits started popping up. This time, attorneys leaned on California's Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, a loophole that reopened civil suits even when criminal charges had already expired. The Harrises denied it all, again. They called the stories fake, accused their accusers of changing details every time they spoke. But no matter what they said, every trip through those courthouse doors left the family name with another bruise, another scar the public couldn't ignore. And the bitter irony? Ty warned us about this moment years ago. Back when he first crowned himself King of the South, he didn't call it a throne. He called it a chessboard. He explained that in chess, the whole game is about capturing the king. He even said peers warned him straight up, if you claim the crown, you become the target. Ain't nobody gonna be trying to help you out with nothing, so just be careful what you ask for. Now, decades later, that prophecy doesn't read like a metaphor. It feels like a curse, hanging heavy over the Harris bloodline.
It would tell you when the camera's on, you get into character, you get into, you know what I'm saying, and the thing about reality, it's all real, it's all natural, but some things are, you know what I'm saying, some things are needed for the climax and the rising of the episodes and stuff like that. So
even when T.I. tries to rise above it, posting Instagram sermons about a beautiful day to not spread lies, the shadow just won't lift. The words echoed hollow against the avalanche of whispers online. What makes King's story even more explosive is the psychological duel he's been locked in with T.I. A father-son battle playing out in real time in front of cameras and sometimes millions of online witnesses. Their most infamous clash, the now notorious Falcons game meltdown, wasn't just some messy family moment. It was a full-blown generational collision. we watch T.I., the self-made patriarch who survived decades of scandals, lean in with smug confidence and clown his own son, mocking him for needing a pacifier until age 12. Meanwhile, King's face burned red as he snapped back, shouting that he stands on business, desperate to prove he was no soft, pampered heir. The headlock that followed wasn't just about physical control, it felt symbolic, like the crown being ripped away before King even had a chance to grab it. A father's brutal reminder that legacy isn't inherited, it's taken or flat out denied. This wasn't some one-off blow-up, it was the eruption of years of tension. 2 generations wrestling for the Harris name, both refusing to back down. King doubled down on trying to prove he was cut from rougher cloth, bragging he grew up in the trenches, not behind mansion gates. Every time T.I. tried forcing him back into the polished role of silver spoon celebrity son, King swung harder in the opposite direction, posting cryptic black eye selfies, flexing bruises, and bragging about fights.
Accused of drugging and assaulting women.
Rapper, actor, and businessman Clifford T.I. Harris, along with his wife, Tamika Tiny Cottle, they're being named in a massive lawsuit.
The harder King leaned into chaos, the more T.I. tried to drag him back toward the family's carefully curated brand of hustle, discipline, and control. But the struggle was bigger than bruises. It was about who really gets to carry the Harris legacy into the future. For the audience, it was messy entertainment they couldn't look away from. But inside the Harris clan, it was a full-blown identity crisis. Fame, masculinity, and generational pride colliding in front of millions. And instead of cooling off, it only made King a lightning rod for controversy. Fans watched him reject his parents' story of his childhood, watched him try to carve his own legend in open defiance of the empire he was born into. Every arrest, every viral tantrum, every cryptic black eye selfie, it all fed the tabloids, but it also built a darker mythology around his fall from grace. In the Harris world, this wasn't just a kid spiraling. It was a brutal fight for succession, a raw struggle over who gets to define strength, survival, and the meaning of legacy in a family where the crown is never secure, always up for grabs. But lately, the whispers have grown sharper, darker, and a lot harder to dismiss. 3 sources with ties to Atlanta's hip-hop scene swear that King's ICU blood panels showed traces of unapproved toxins. And yet not a single doctor at Grady Memorial has explained what those substances were or how they got there. One insider flat out claims this isn't just a family feud gone sideways. It's industry politics at their most vicious. According to a former road manager, King had been talking about dropping names, serious names, not just other rappers, but executives too. And suddenly, the theory doesn't sound so wild. When a rising star threatens to crack open the industry's closet, the stakes get ugly fast. And in King's case, the puzzle pieces fit way too neatly to ignore. The label hasn't said a word. The hospital keeps dodging every question. But the city, it's buzzing like never before. Did someone move to silence King before he could spill whatever he knew? Or are we just connecting dots in smoke? Either way, the chaos has blown far beyond the hospital's locked ICU doors. In just 48 hours, Grady Memorial has turned into a flashpoint. Protesters flood the streets, fans waving hand-painted signs screaming, "Protect King and no more setups." Mothers pushing strollers march shoulder to shoulder with hardened activists rocking vintage family hustle shirts. The crowd swelled so heavy, Atlanta PD rolled out riot gear, helicopters circling nonstop, cameras zooming in hoping for a glimpse of Tiny or T.I., rumored to be camped out in the waiting room. As the sun dropped, chants thundered up the glass facade of the hospital, rattling the ICU windows. Let King live! Let King live! Inside, the mood is brutal. Sources from hospital staff say the family's already been briefed on all outcomes. One insider whispered that doctors are using words like prepare and decisions. Nobody will say it straight, but we all know what those words really mean. And yet, something even bigger is taking shape. King is no longer just another celebrity son crashing out in public. He's become a symbol, a lightning rod for every young black artist ground up by an industry that smiles for the cameras while sharpening knives behind the scenes. Social feeds are flooded with edits, clips of King as a kid, his wildest outbursts, side by side with tender footage from his son's baby shower, Tiny's teary hugs, T.I.'s rare flashes of vulnerability. It's all getting stitched into one narrative. And just like that, the story has shifted. King Harris isn't just fighting for his life anymore. He's carrying the weight of a generation. The battle for King's life has morphed into something bigger. A fight against a system accused of protecting the powerful while burying anyone who dares to speak out. Is that a stretch? Maybe. But for the tens of thousands chanting outside the hospital, the Harris family's pain is no longer just their own. It's a movement. And just when it seemed like the rumor mill was finally running out of fuel, a final bombshell dropped. A leaked recording so chilling it barely needs context. Allegedly, it's a Georgia corrections officer, voice distorted but words cutting through crystal clear. If the boy talks, everything crumbles. He can't walk out of there alive. It's short, but it's already blazing across social media like wildfire. Some shrug it off as just an angry guard venting into a phone, but others whisper it's the smoking gun, proof that someone somewhere wanted King Harris silenced before he ever set foot out of that cell, let alone survive to leave a hospital bed. Now the whole world is left staring at the pieces of a puzzle that only gets darker the closer you look. Was King just another reckless heir caught in the wrong storm, or did he stumble into secrets worth killing for? And if the truth really comes out, can T.I. and Tiny's empire survive, or will the Harris dynasty collapse in flames? Redemption or total ruin? That's the line this family is walking tonight. So what do you think really went down behind those ICU doors? Drop your theories in the comments. We want to hear it all. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to Public Secrets. Because in this family's world, the final move is never safe, never settled, and always up for grabs.